also doing, as far as hard to count, the Census Bureau is in partnership with our partners, folks in the room. The Census Bureau is developing what's called mobile questionnaire assistants. These will be census employees going out to the hard to count areas at certain facilities at certain times, designated, predetermined, in order to help residents in those hard to count areas complete the census. There are questions about whether or not folks not everybody may have internet access, may not have that ability. Folks can go to libraries, they can go online. We're seeking out resources from all our partners in the room here in order to set up those locations, and our staff will be out there in those hard to count areas to help get this, help us complete our mission, count everybody. Another question would be what the census workers in the field would look like. We do have our, well, I don't have them here. We have the census logo, they'll have their census bag. But this time around in the field, instead of having a large book binder with a large sheet of paper, this is what they'll have. It's technology driven. Our responses, the responses to cases are near real-time upload to the census. There will be the ability for folks to log on to the census website to see the various areas and what the response rates are as we go day by day. So that's a little bit more as far as what technology helps us out. It would also help us to identify there's a low response area here, what's going on, maybe we need to work with our partners to set up an MQA location to help get that done, okay? And lastly, there is great energy in Baltimore City and the state of Maryland. I travel the state. There's great energy to not have a repeat of 2010, to be better than 2010. There's competition between municipalities. There's competition between the city and certain counties, and as far as who's going to be best. And sometimes that helps drive us. But I think mostly, and I think folks in this room can identify, it's the belief inside that this is really important, and you guys have dedicated your time and effort to help get it done. So I think that we're well on our way. Our recruiting numbers, our applicant pool, will have plenty of people in the city, in the state to hire from. We will definitely have enough people to get the work done in the field, but hopefully folks can take the time to respond online. So not to continue or belabor the point, do want to thank you all again for the fine work you're doing. It is meaningful, and I think we will have a great census. I'd like to bring up someone that a few of you may know, Mr. Julius Maina, our partnership coordinator. Julius and his team are doing an excellent job in communicating out things that need to be done. Fantastic job, fantastic work, Julius and Terry Fisher, Baltimore City partnership specialists. One or two of you may know him too. So, Julius, I'm going to pass that off to you. Thank you.
So I am Julius Valentine Mina. I'm the partnership coordinator for the state of Maryland. A little bit about the partnership program. What we are tasked to do is to build relationships with the trusted voices in the community. We realize that, believe it or not, there might be a trust gap between us and some communities, and we might not overcome that this time around. So instead, we're going to partner up with the people on the ground who are their trusted voices, and that's what we did. All over the state, we have about 15 partnership specialists currently that cover the state. In Baltimore City, we have Terry Fisher, and I'm going to let him come up and talk to you guys, because he's from Baltimore. When I was hired as Baltimore City Partnership Specialist. I live in Baltimore. I worked in Baltimore. I went to school in Baltimore. And I'm talking, I worked at the middle school, and I worked in Morgan State. So in terms of understanding what the city needs, we get it. In addition, we also have the proud esteem of having the director of the census visit our state. He noticed some of our numbers were really good. He said, there's something going on that I have to see. And we told him that to get an idea of Baltimore, you have to drive around. And he came to Maryland and drove around, right? He went around all the different parts. He saw the two Baltimores, as you will. And one of the things he said, but I noticed Enoch Platt library system is everywhere, right? You go to 21217, that's a CVS, but that's a library. Are we building partnerships with library systems to ensure that they are doing this work as well? And those are the strategies we implemented. The other thing we heard, if we're not hiring people from the community, we're not gonna win, right? If the people knocking on the doors do not look like the community, they're not gonna open the door, right? So these are some of the things we heard. And he also sat with Senator Mikulski, late Congressman Elijah Cummings, Mayor Jack Young, at the same table in a discussion. You know what, at the end of the day, this is bigger than what the news wants to tell us. Everybody's worried about the same thing. We all want everybody counted, because at the end of the day, there's $675 billion on the line a year in terms of services, roads, schools, and that's what we really have to make sure that people understand. That is the goal. And in Baltimore City, you guys have by far one of the best partnership specialists in the planet, because we realize there's over 700,000 people in Baltimore City. We realize that the trust gap in Baltimore City is great. And so we hired somebody from the community, and he's going to talk a little bit about the work, a lot of the strategy that's happening in Baltimore City. And we'll also give the opportunity to some of our partners who, you know, people reach out to us, they said, what are you doing about this community? And we said, you know what? Tell us. Let's partner up. Let's work together. And that's what we did. And we want to highlight some of those partners. So thank you. We will have cards. We want to chit chat after this. We want to get to know you. I know most of you guys know my face. But I want you guys to build a working relationship with us. This is more than just handshakes and card exchanges. This is work that needs to be done, and we can't do it without the people in this room. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bynum. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you so much. Before I get started, you know, as I look around the room, I see partners everywhere. I see State of Maryland. I see the Office of Civil Rights and Wage Enforcement. I see Coppin State University. I see Senator Ben Cardin's office represented. I see people that have welcomed me into their halls with arms wide open. And before I do anything, I see the Mayor's Office of Homelessness serves. They're going to play a vital role in ensuring that our group quarters initiative is carried out here in Baltimore City. So before I even get started, give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. AARP and Rebellion Coalition, thank you so much for being here. As a resident of Baltimore City for all of my life, for 44 years, oops, did I date myself? Did I date myself? And as a manager of nonprofit organizations across Baltimore City, also as a graduate of Morgan State University School of Community Health and Policy, I have a firsthand understanding of how important the alignment of federal funds and resources and political representation to constituents who need them the most are. It's a very, very big deal. And this 2020 census, the outcomes from the 2020 census will allow us to do that. It's the foundation for our democracy. But we can't do it alone. The Census Bureau is the largest statistical agency, data agency within the federal government, and we still can't do it alone. We need you. We need our trusted voices. And that's why I'm pleased as punch today that you guys are here representing your organizations. The 2020 Census Baltimore City Partnership Strategy is committed to working to ensure that every resident, regardless of their socioeconomic status, is made aware that the 2020 census is easy, safe, and important. Everybody say it with me. Easy, safe, and important. All right? That they're made aware of the three various ways that Julius talked about that they can participate, which are the online questionnaire, dedicated phone line, and the paper questionnaires that will be mailed to select communities along with the invitations to self-respond. But to be totally transparent, we are prioritizing hard-to-count populations throughout Baltimore City to ensure that every community is appropriately represented for this 2020 census. And hard-to-count communities and populations have been identified by the U.S. Census Bureau as children under 5, okay? Young adults, 18 to 24 years old, our seniors, non-English speaking and immigrant communities, okay? People with disabilities, and our veteran constituents. And we plan to infiltrate these hard-to-count communities by working with grassroots organizations, okay, and large organizations that provide direct services to these previously undercounted groups and who can serve as trusted voices. Everywhere I go, and Tanil can attest to this, I always give the audience a quiz. I always ask, who are the trusted voices in this room? Can you guys help me out? Who are the trusted voices? Tom, don't cheat. Don't let him know. Julius, don't cheat. Who are the trusted voices in this room? Well, I'm glad you guys are here today because I'm here to let you know that you are the trusted voices, guys. You have the ability to spread the message. You're working in the communities. You're working with the students. You're working with our senior populations. You're working with our most vulnerable populations. You're working with the homeless population. And you have the ability to spread the message that the 2020 census, that the U.S. Census Bureau is here, and we care about Baltimore City. So I think the best way to brag on the partnerships that we have here in Baltimore City, and as I said, they're littered in the room today, but the best way to brag on our partnerships is to bring some of our partner organizations up and have them speak about what they're doing right here in Baltimore City, what they're doing in their lanes to work with their constituents to ensure that the message of the 2020 census is spread to their communities. I'm actually going to start with my partner organization. I'm proud and pleased. He's always made himself available to me. The state president of the AARP organization, Mr. Jim Campbell. The AARP has taken up the mantle to ensure that people 50 and older and our elderly adults in the United States have a high quality of life. So I'm pleased as punch to bring to you Mr. Jim Campbell, of the state president of the AARP.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here. First of all, a little bit about me. One reason I'm here is president of AARP, but also I knew how important this work is. I represented Baltimore City. I was in the state legislature for 24 years, and I represented Baltimore City. So every 10 years we go through redistricting, and every 10 years my district would change. When I started the legislature, we had 33 members of the House of Delegates from Baltimore City. Today we have 15. So the count is really important to the city. It's important to all our organizations. So I'm a city resident. I'm very committed to AARP being involved in this effort. And then when I tell people I used to know, haven't reconnected with for a while, but I reconnect with, I tell them I'm with AARP, they start laughing. They say, AARP? But what I've learned being with AARP is it's much different than I think the impression a lot of people have. The whole concept now is disrupt aging, is to be an advocate for people 50 and over. We push medical care. We actually lobbied in the state legislature last year for a bill on lowering prescription drug costs. We're active, one of the few organizations active in Washington pushing for maintaining Social Security. You know, there's not a lot of support right now in that area. Our congressmen are very supportive, but you get into other areas or not. And many of our seniors in Maryland depend on Social Security. So AARP, the concept is disrupt aging, to be active in the community and be involved, and that's why I'm here. The national organization has 38 million members. In Maryland, we have 1 million members. So it's an active organization, and we have chapters and organizing across the state. And I guess another reason we're here is because $750 billion in federal aid is going to be distributed based on some of the census information. And for us, the over 50 population, we have a list of those programs that are really important, including SNAP and medical assistance and housing and nutrition. So that's another reason it's really important for us to get behind, as an organization, to get behind this effort. And the other reason, as I mentioned too, is political representation. Our Congress people, our state legislatures are all dependent on the census data. Next year, in 2022, the governor submits his redistricting plan. And right now there's some thought that the city could lose even another district, a senator and 3 delegates. So we hope that doesn't happen, but our efforts today will be really important in making sure we get the best count we can get. ARP is active, as I said, across the state and getting people involved and organized. One thing we've always worked on is fraud and scams, taking advantage of seniors especially. And one thing we have a press conference we're working with Terry on and the staff here is a press conference with the Attorney General and making people aware of the potential scams that could happen related to census. We have people going to doors saying, you need to pay money for this. And when the census rolls out its information on the website, we're expecting a lot more opportunities for fraud and scams. So we're going to be very active in that. So I just wanted to highlight those things and just let you know we've got a great team here. We're looking forward to working with them and appreciate this opportunity to talk about that. So thank you very much.
Before he comes, I just want to talk a little bit about the No Boundaries Coalition, and Ian can add to it as well. The No Boundaries Coalition is a resident-led advocacy organization building a unified and empowered Central West Baltimore. So making sure that we have services for our young people in West Baltimore is extremely important after the Freddie and Ray uprising that happened in 2015. And they cross boundaries of race, class, and neighborhood to do their work. So I'm proud to have with us Mr. Ian Logan, Director of Civic Engagement, Youth Program, and the Youth Program Manager of the No Boundaries Coalition.